So rumor has it they're running it back between Merab Dvalishvili and Sean O'Malley in March, which is kind of wild when you think about it. The first fight wasn't even close by any measure. Merab pretty much put on a grappling clinic and overwhelmed Sean. He outpaced him, controlled the fight in every round, and even outstriked him when it counted. Now, unless you were sitting there hoping Sean could survive yet again another takedown or scramble, it wasn't exactly a nail-biter of a fight. So why are they running it back? Why is there a rematch? This isn't like it's a long reigning champion like Anderson Silva or George St. Pierre getting another title shot after a long dominant career. Sean defended the belt once, and now he's getting a second chance already? It feels a little bit premature. It's like giving someone another shot at Jeopardy after they blanked out for the entire game and couldn't even answer a single question. And I get it, Sean probably feels a bit salty about how he went down the first time, thinking maybe the scorecards didn't reflect his performance. Fighters often feel like they're closer to winning than the audience or judges might perceive. But realistically, was there any real controversy in that fight? Most people watching it had it all for Merab. So instead of running it back, why not give somebody new a shot? Like Umar Nurmagomedov, who's been absolutely tearing through everyone he's been fighting. He's been quietly stacking wins, and his style makes him a dangerous matchup for anyone. But unfortunately for Umar, it looks like we won't be seeing him fight Merab anytime soon because he's already booked against Song Yadong in December. There's been some talk that Umar wasn't eager to face Merab this year, but let's clear that up. I mean, after all, Merab was down to fight Sean O'Malley in November. The only reason it didn't happen is that Sean needed surgery. That fight would have been huge, and I think Umar was more than ready for the opportunity if he got it. And honestly, I don't blame Umar for moving on and taking another fight while the division sorts itself out. It makes sense when you consider the bigger picture. After Usman Nurmagomedov captured the Bellator title, both Umar and Usman have openly discussed their ambition to build an undefeated legacy, aiming to get as close to Khabib's legendary 29-0 record as possible. Umar can't just sit around waiting for the perfect fight while his peers stay active, so he lined up a bout with Song Yadong instead. Plus, Umar even mentioned that he wasn't going to wait if Merab decided to delay their potential fight until after Ramadan, which is another reason why he took this fight. All of this makes Umar look smart and strategic. He keeps himself busy and builds his resume. Meanwhile, Merab is agreeing to a rematch with Sean so quickly does raise a lot of eyebrows from a fan's perspective. It almost feels like he's trying to take the path of least resistance. It's like offering someone a rematch in Mario Kart after you already lapped them twice. It just doesn't make sense unless you're looking for an easy win. I get it from the business standpoint. The UFC loves the money and the hype that a rematch can generate, especially when you have a personality like Sean O'Malley involved. Sean is a star, no doubt about it, and a rematch sells tickets. But is it the right fight for the division? Does it serve the sport? That's where things get a little bit murky. And for anyone that's saying that Umar doesn't deserve a title shot, that's just baffling. The guy has struggled to get anyone in the top 15 to step up and face him. It's not his fault that he got fast-tracked to the top. Remember when he outclassed Corey Sandhagen, who at the time was one of the most dangerous fighters in the Bantamweight division? That was no fluke. Umar was convincingly climbed to number 3 in the rankings, and now people are acting like he hasn't done enough to earn a title shot. It's crazy. He's undefeated, technically sound in all areas, and has been a nightmare for anyone who steps into the cage with him. What's even more surprising is that Merab, who's always had the reputation of being a guy who would fight anyone, seems to be avoiding Umar. The moment Umar's name started flowing around as a potential opponent, Merab's tone shifted. Instead of focusing on Umar, he's talking about a fight against Sean again, or mentioning other names like the winner of Peter Yan versus Davison Figueiredo. It's an odd shift for a guy like Merab, who has always been about taking the toughest challenge. Now, to be fair to Merab, there is an argument that Figueiredo deserves a shot as well. He's beaten 2 top 10 fighters and a former champion. That's a solid resume, and it's not like Merab is ducking tough competition entirely. But the way he's steering clear of Umar is noticeable. And let's not forget that Merab just fought in September, and that a December fight would be pretty quick turnaround. When he said he was open to fight Sean O'Malley in November or December, it almost sounded like a joke. UFC fighters rarely take fights on short notice unless they're compelling reasons like a big payday or a last minute opportunity for a title. But in Merab's case, it almost felt like he was just trying to grab another easy win before someone like Umar comes knocking. Let's not ignore that Umar's decision making here either. He's not sitting idle, hoping things fall his way. He's just active, taking fights and improving his skills, and I respect that a lot. In fact, I argue he's making Merab look bad in comparison, but because he's not shying away from the competition. I'm not saying Merab is scared, but when you line up these two situations, it's hard not to notice who's willing to step up and who's playing it safe. And speaking of stepping up, let's talk about Belal Muhammad. The way he embraced the challenge of fighting someone like Shavkat Rakhmonov and how he earned his title shot is worth mentioning here. Belal has steadily worked his way to the top, consistently improving, evolving as a fighter. He's laser focused on building a lasting legacy, and he's not shying away from anyone. For a guy who gets a lot of hate online, you have to admire his mentality. He's willing to fight anyone, anywhere, and that's the kind of fighter that the UFC should be rewarding with big opportunities. Now back to Umar though, his fight against Song Yadong in December is going to be a fascinating one. I mean, on paper, Song is an explosive athlete with quick twitch muscles and knockout power. He's dangerous in the early rounds, no doubt about that, but I still think Umar is going to handle him with relative ease. Umar's boxing and kickboxing have evolved to a level that complements his grappling perfectly, making him one of the most well-rounded fighters in the division. Sure, Song can wrestle, but when you look at someone like Peter Yan, who was able to control him on the ground, it's hard to see him stopping Umar from taking him down or keeping him in bay in scrambles. Song has tendencies to overextend on his punches, which create openings for someone as technical sound as Umar to exploit. Umar can counter those wild strikes or time his level changes perfectly for a takedown. Once it hits the mat, I don't see Song being able to deal with Umar's grappling. Umar has this unique ability to chain wrestle with submission threats, and his pressure is relentless. I generally believe that this fight will further solidify Umar's case for a title shot. However, the division's getting complicated when you add in the possibility of Figueiredo entering the mix. If Figueiredo beats Yan, he could easily be next in line for the title shot after Sean O'Malley versus Merab 2. At that point, Figueiredo would be riding a 4-fight win streak with names like Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt, Marlon Chito Vera, and possibly Peter Yan on his resume. That's a serious contender's resume. So we can end up in a situation where both Umar and Figueiredo are deserving of a title shot. Ultimately, it feels like the UFC is playing a balanced act between promoting hype and respecting the rankings. As a fan, we want to see the best fighters get the opportunities they've been earning, but we also understand that stars like Sean O'Malley bring in eyeballs and revenue. Whatever happens, one thing is clear: the Bantamweight division is stacked with talent, and the next year will be critical in shaping its future. But anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And like always guys, I'll see you guys on my next one.